Hi, it's Maria, and I'm doing another Maria Unfiltered where I tell it like it is, like it or not. And so, anyway, today's title is Will We See Justice? And that's really how I feel about the legal system and litigation. Um, let's see, I want you to know certain things that I learned while I was kind of on the inside of it. And so, like yesterday's video was Your Sole Purpose Might Shock You. And so that's a good one to watch because sometimes, we are on a path and we think that we are to do one thing when in fact we're really supposed to make a 90-degree turn or sometimes a 180-degree turn and head the other way and do something else. And so anyway, I can just say from my own personal experience, when I first went to law school, that was my second choice because I really wanted to go to med school. I was doing research in brain and spinal cord, so law school was kind of not really in the picture for me. But for some reason, that's where I was kind of guided to go. And so, and then I thought, oh, well, I rationalized and I said, well, like many of you, I grew up believing in justice and we live in America, the land of the free and the home of the brave. And this is so wonderful. And, where we believe in fairness and truth and honesty and helping people. And I believe in our country for sure and in our Constitution and what our forefathers dreamed for this great land of ours. So my experience in law school is kind of like a marriage, really, because it's when two people, get together and they really have common goals and they think, oh, yes, we're on the same page and this is going to be wonderful. And then all of a sudden they kind of grow in different directions because they learn, oh, maybe he's a little bit of a narcissist, or maybe he's not exactly honest on his taxes, or and if he's not honest there, then what else is he lying about? And so anyway, when you kind of get those ideas and you think, oh, I don't think so, this is not going to work. So anyway, that's kind of what happened with my legal education, actually, and I'll give you a little tidbit about that, only because I think sometimes if somebody says something in general terms, you can say, oh yeah, I get it, but really, when you get an example, that's when you really understand it and you say, oh yeah, wow, you know what, I had an experience similar to that, because it's that personal touch that you can relate to your own life. And so that's the point of my putting in little tidbits about my own life, because I do think it helps people relate to one another on a more intimate level like that. And so anyway, their first-year law students compete in something called the moot court competition. And that's where they have like a mock courtroom. And there are judges, real judges, who sit at the front, and you prepare your argument. You have weeks to do this. And so they give you a case and you prepare your argument, and it's as if you're advocating for your client. And so you have a certain number of minutes that you are allowed to present your argument. And when it's like, it's been a long time, so I think it's maybe 2 minutes, you have 2 minutes to go or something like that, there's a yellow light up where the judge sits. And when that light goes on, it means you've got 2 minutes, so wrap up, conclude your argument. And so anyway, I finished my argument. Everything was fine. And then the end of the night, they announced the winner and they said, I won. And I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding. I was so excited because I really didn't think I was that good in it. It wasn't my aptitude. I'm more into science. And so anyway, this was a good experience for me. And I was absolutely delighted. I was just walking on air. I thought, oh, wow, maybe I can make a go of this. This will be really fun. And so the next day I went to school and there was a big banner, in the hallway, and it said congratulations, and the name that it said congratulations was the guy that was second to me. And I thought, well, that's funny, isn't that strange? So and it had my name as first runner up. And so I went to the office and I went to inquire and I said, I don't get it. What's going on? I thought I won. They told me I won yesterday. And so they said, oh no, well actually you didn't stop when the yellow light went on, for the 2 minutes. And I'm like, oh yes, I did. And for the people that didn't stop, that went over the time limit, they just disqualified them, and they disqualified them as soon as they finished. They said, excuse me, but, you overstepped the time limitation, and so you're disqualified. And that was the end of it. Well, they would not have put anybody at first runner up if they were disqualified, right? Or if I had gone over. So I really, I just kind of had a bad taste in my mouth after that, and I thought, maybe this is just not, it kind of opened my eyes, to just another system that wasn't totally on the up and up, at least in my opinion, And so anyway, as I said in yesterday's video about the soul purpose, sometimes we are derailed from what we think we should be doing or what we think we are destined to do. And so that was kind of my derailment. And I ended up having a baby, and then I ended up going to law school for 6 more years, actually, in night school, because I had 3 children total while I was in school. And then right before my 3rd son, Stephen, was born, after 6 years, I just said, okay, I'm not going to finish because I would never practice law. It was a wonderful education, and I learned a lot from it. But it wasn't the direction that I wanted my life to go in. And so then I realized, and I was married by this time, obviously I had the babies, and so I realized that I was to see the dark side of litigation, and I was to speak from the perspective of not the attorney, but in fact the position of the defendant. And I mentioned in my video yesterday about you'll be shocked about your soul purpose may be different from what you thought it would be. Yes, I certainly never thought I would be the quintessential defendant, and so I was, both between the custody and then the divorce, like many of you, with so many marriages ending in divorce. Actually, I read, this is so fascinating, I read that I believe it's Luxembourg, it's a country in Europe, and I'm pretty sure, because I read this a while ago, but I'm pretty sure that it's like 92% of all marriages end in divorce. I read that, and I was like, well, why bother? I mean, with statistics like that, I don't understand how that can even be feasible, really. But anyway, in this country, it is shockingly high. And first marriages, it's over 50%. And then in subsequent marriages, it can go up to 70 and 80%. Of those marriages end in divorce. But in my situation, it was a 5-year custody battle, and that was just to kind of waste time so they could all hide the money and stuff. And then there were, then there are supplemental judgments, and then there are post-trial motions, and then there are appeals, and then there are other motions for visitation and for this and for that and financial issues, and it can just go on and on and on ad nauseum. And then when I noticed that and I saw that, I think I mentioned yesterday, I went to the government and I said, hey, what's going on? And so they said, well, tell people what's going on, because it's been going on ever since time immemorial. This is the legal system. This is the way it works. And so I wrote my letter, and then I was gagged. I wasn't allowed to talk about it because he said that he wasn't invited to Christmas parties or something because I wrote the letter saying that our divorce was shockingly ridiculous, and it was totally unnecessary, and it was really just to hurt the children and just to hurt me. And so why does the legal system condone that? Not only allow it, but condone it, because it's a pay-to-play system, And then after that, there was the defamation, and then he ended up suing. I got married for just a quick year, because probably it ended because of all the harassment. But yeah, then he ended up suing my new husband, and then he started suing my father, and my father was getting really upset. But he had said that the reason he married me was for my father's money. But so my father was just like, so he said, I'm not going to spend, I can spend your inheritance defending these stupid lawsuits, or just give him what he wants and just let's move on with life. And so that's what I did. And that's when I moved to Florida and, started my life over there. And that was wonderful. Yeah. And so anyway, so we are put on this planet for different reasons, and we can think that it's for one way. I thought it was to be an attorney and to fight for the underdog. But actually, it was not to be an attorney. It was to be a defendant and to fight for the underdog and to show the defendant, the people that erroneously get embroiled in the legal system and punitively because of a plaintiff that either files frivolous lawsuits or just has an axe to grind or whatever, anyway. So that's kind of how fairness and justice for all ended up in my life. And I'm still working my way through it. So I can't really be an advocate for others other than my bringing up certain issues and points here and raising awareness about it. Just like I wanted to raise awareness about the homeless situation and raise awareness about how children are destroyed in litigation and things like that. So all we can do is just, when we see something that's unjust, we can just open our mouths and try to say and do what we can in order to help others who, because when you are embroiled in situations like that, it's so hard to pull yourself back and really focus on it because, you can't see the forest for the trees because it's so devastating, and it's so hurtful. And so anyway, all we can do is just try to be the best we can and try to see that, not to see our struggles as struggles, but in fact to see them as opportunities for overcoming things and opportunities that allow us to open our eyes to the world. Because, many of us were raised in very sheltered environments where we were so loved and coddled and everything. And then all of a sudden we wake up to the real world and we're like, we are slapped, here and there and everywhere. And we think, well, wait a minute, that's not supposed to happen. But you know what? It's the real world. And this is a planet where we have a lot of lessons to learn, where we are to overcome a lot of situations that are not, as I said, it's not La La Land or Disneyland, except unless it's the Mad Hatter's ride or some kind of horrible castle with goblins and goobers and stuff. I don't know. But it's certainly not Cinderella's castle. But anyway, so my situation that I'm working on now is, I'm trying to fight back. And I don't like fight. I don't like the term fight. And that's why I did a video titled, My Dear Mr. President, Letting Love Lead the Way. And it's about mediation. It's about seeing both sides to every argument. And so that's what I'm trying to advocate, even in my own personal situation, where, my parents and grandparents spent entire lifetimes trying to amass whatever they could amass, a fortune or whatever, their estate, their assets, whatever. And they worked their entire lives. And to leave it to the next generation, of which I am one of two. And so that's an inheritance. And I never really worried about that because it was just me and my sister. But then when I was on vacation, my sister and my son pretended to be me and stole my home. And they locked me out. And then, and they stole my writing and they stole my clothes and they stole everything. And I thought, well, remember OJ? Well, we probably all remember that trial. and where we were when we saw what was going on, the little white car that he was in. But anyway, in Florida, it is illegal to take someone's only home. You cannot do that. And so the only way that they could have stolen my condo that my father bought me was either to steal my identity, and someone had stolen my identity, but I never imagined it was my family. I thought it was somebody on the internet or something. Anyway, they stole my identity, or to say I was dead and to just pretend they were me. And what's interesting is that I heard that my sister, who I found on Facebook, actually, she has the same last name as I do. It's our middle name. I mean, it's our maiden name, but then she has a married name, even though she's divorced. And then I had my married name, but I dropped it. And so anyway, in my videos, I have a website, mariahady.com, and on this website, I play different characters. So I have 16 different wigs, and it's kind of like a spoof. It's a Saturday Night Live kind of a thing. And what I wanted to do was to make it where it was really funny and kind of clever, so that the younger generation, or people that weren't into spirituality, would kind of be interested, and they'd want to click on and watch something. And kind of hidden within those messages were like spiritual truths. And so I thought they could watch it for entertainment value, where, I'm kind of like wearing low-cut things, and my hair and glasses and earrings down here, and mini skirts or a bathing suit or something. But really, it was so that people could pick up some little gems of spirituality, of being in integrity, and doing the right thing, and seeing the bigger picture of life, and not getting so caught up in the ego and the things, but realizing there's so much more to life than we allow ourselves to appreciate here, and to have gratitude for absolutely everything, in our life, everything we see, everything we hear, everything we feel, everything we touch, everything we taste. It's just, we live in such a miraculous environment where it's just, the birds and the bees and the puppies and the cats, and it's just so amazing when you look around and you see the beauty of everything. In fact, today, as I was walking out the door, a hummingbird just flew right in front of me, and then I went to get in my car and I saw a feather on the ground, and so I just thought, oh, thank you, God. It was just it was a beautiful thing. And so anyway, let's see. So I just wanted to tell you about, sometimes when you have struggles, and no one is exempt of struggling, it's kind of, those are lessons, those are things we need to overcome. And the reason we overcome them is not to put us through some kind of a torture. It's to allow us to grow and to be better than who we were before those obstacles came, and they talk about the spiritual masters like Buddha and Jesus and others, who they welcome challenges because they can kind of smile and they say, oh, I see it coming and I'm going to get through this one, or and that's their lesson to us. Their teaching to us is to tell us that, in fact, when you see something, just know, it is for your good, and you're going to come out a whole lot stronger than when you went in. And so that's kind of a beautiful thing, I think. But anyway, what I wanted to say about attorneys is that, it's easy to blame attorneys and say, oh, well, all the lawyer jokes, right? And you can blame them for lying and stealing and sabotaging and stuff, but, and throwing their clients under the bus. And, certain attorneys do that, of course. But remember, with any group, one must play by the rules. And so if it's the system that is kind of rotten to the core, or the system that needs tweaking, however it needs to be corrected, whether it needs a total overhaul or just a few little tweaks. Anyway, it's really, you have to play by the game. You have to play by the rules of the game. And so if attorneys don't, they're not going to make partner. In fact, they might not even have a job. And I remember this story of a young journalist. I don't know if anyone else has heard this story, but there was a young journalist who solved some crime. And he was so excited, and he wrote this article explaining it all. And he ran in one day, I guess he had stayed up all night long, and he ran in to his editor-in-chief at the newspaper, and he said, "Here, read this." So the editor read it, and afterwards the editor said, "Oh my God, this is fantastic. I can't believe you did this." And so he said, "Yes, are you gonna, is it gonna make the front page?" And he said, "I want you to take it, and I want you to throw it away, and I want you to delete the file from your computer." And he said, "Well, why?" And he said, "Because we're not allowed to write that." And so it was kind of like, there are rules within any situation, and you have to play by the rules. And I can tell you a short story about my father. My father was an obstetrician and gynecologist, and he was born and raised in Greece, so he spoke with an accent, and he just never felt like that his English was that good, even though it was kind of like English, like British English. But so he just wasn't that confident. And so, and he never wanted to get in an argument with anyone. And so you probably don't remember this, but I was in college at the time, and that's when they started allowing husbands to come into the delivery room so that they could watch their baby be delivered. How wonderful is that? Well, my dad was in a medical clinic, and there were 55 doctors, and there were only 2 of them that had not been sued. And he was really worried about being sued. And so not that he ever did anything wrong, it's just that he just didn't want that harassment. And so what he said is, I don't think it's proper for fathers to be in the delivery room, because if something happens, if there's an emergency, I have to have my wits about me. The nurses have to know what they're doing, the anesthesiologist, everybody needs to be, on board. And you can't have a husband who, might be panicking or might be raising his voice or hysterical, like, "Oh my gosh, what's going on with my wife, and what's going on with this?" And so my father just quit OB then, and he just did nothing but surgery. So sometimes, if you don't want to play along with the rules, you have to adapt to them, and you have to limit whatever. You have to not play, right? And so you can't expect the world to revolve around you. You have to revolve around it. And so anyway, let's see. I don't know what else I can tell you. But anyway, I'm going to end this now, I think, and begin another one called "There's a Better Way," where I'll talk about my Dear Mr. President letter, where I really, I awakened in the middle of the night and had a message to write this. And it was, and so I ended up writing 3 renditions of it. And it was as if I wanted to, give it to the president and talk about legal reform, and let's see how we can make the legal system a better system, a more just system, a system where everyone's feelings and considerations are taken into account, not just the one big winner creating a big loser for the other person involved. It has to be balanced and fair. And so anyway, you can just, if you want to see that video, I did put it on YouTube, and it is on my Facebook too. And it's called "My Dear Mr. President, Letting Love Lead the Way." So you can just Google maybe Maria Haiti and "My Dear Mr. President," and you should be able to find it. But anyway, I have so much more to say about how we can truly make inroads to see a better system of justice for all the people. And I know that we can do it. And if any of you want more info on how easily it is to become entrapped by the legal system, it just takes one person to file a lawsuit, and life as you know it is over. And so it just shouldn't be that way. And so I spoke about that in Our Sole Purpose, Can Shock Us. But anyway, I thank you so much for being here with me today, and may all of your dreams come true.